Awesome. And we are live on YouTube. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Website Redesign Working Group. Let's just do a quick round of introductions for the YouTube channel since it's a small group today. I'm Adam, Community Committee Chairperson and co-lead of the Website Redesign Working Group at LinkedIn in San Francisco. Manil, how about you next?
I'm Manil. I am co-lead of this website redesign initiative, contributor to the ComCom in Node.js, and developer advocate at InVision here in Vancouver.
Awesome. Lido.
Hi guys, my name is Lido. I'm a developer and I will contribute to the website redesign the next time.
Beautiful.
And last but not least. And my name is Jan. I am from Slovenia. I work for a company called 3FS, and I'm a developer here, helping the Node.js website redesign.
Awesome. And I see an issue that should be on here, but isn't. Cool. Anyway, our agenda for today is over on Website Redesign, issue number 113. And yeah, for people on the call, pop open the docs and add yourself into the present header, pretty please. We'll just start from the top and go down and probably get through the agenda pretty quick and leave it open for discussion after the fact. First issue on the agenda is creating a branch of the docs using RunKit. I had a chat with Francisco. They are completely unblocked now, which is awesome. They were waiting on a PR to land in, I believe, I forget exactly what open source project, but it landed and they can now get a build in with the first couple demos enabled. I think Francisco is leading this and he should be good to go. So I'm actually going to go ahead and remove the agenda tag from this because it'll be a completely different task to get this into the new site. But since he's unblocked, we can stop tracking it here. Cool. Next topic, issue number 105. This is Flavio's awesome PR for Node.js handbook content. Yeah, this has been open for a while. How do people feel about pulling this in since it's had a cycle of reviews and Flavio's updated it with the fixes? I think it's good to go.
I was just taking a quick look at like how many reviews we got for that. That's the massive one, right?
It's the giant one, yeah, and we got looks like Flowker D and some pretty extensive reviews there. Tyranny took a look at it. No approvals, like explicit approvals, but I mean it's huge, and I feel like it'll we're gonna find plenty of copy errors down the line. I'd rather land it in master and iterate on it than
yeah, that makes sense.
Perfect.
We can.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Cool. Well, I will pull the trigger on this right now, squash it and merge it. Also, because a lot of other people there's a number of other PRs open for documentation content, and it's hard to see what is covered by this without it being in master as well for new folk, or for new content.
Was someone about to share something before I cut them off? The internet's a bit crappy at my end, so I feel like I might be talking over people. Anyway, I'm going to throw that out there every so often.
Yeah, I think you're good. Cool. Confirm, squash, and merge. And at Flavio, you are amazing. Ta-da. Okay, awesome. That feels good to finally land, thank God. I'm gonna go slightly out of order here and actually gonna So issue number 66 in website redesign, walkthrough and ComCom TSC meeting. I'm going to remove the agenda label from this and get an alert on my to-do for the week of January 23rd to get this on this calendar for, we agreed to run through in the TSC meeting for website redesign update on January 23rd of next year.
Oh, excellent.
So, well, it's just, this shouldn't be on the agenda and we'll just need a follow-up closer to then. Issue number 99, docs hackathons. Manil, has there been any movement on this that you know of since?
Not since our last discussion. Our last discussion, I'm not sure if we actually came up with a action item for this. If we did, I don't recall. I'm sorry if there hasn't been movement on that, but I think now it could be good to come up with one action item that we can move this on because it's really useful.
Yeah, I know. How the Node meetups been going up in Vancouver? I know there's some content that came out of that.
Yeah, they're still regular. So if so there's one happening this weekend. It's a regular third Saturday of the month intro to open source meetup that we've been running for a couple of months now. And on the second Saturday of each month, we also have the regular Node School meetup. So twice a month, there is a Node School in Vancouver regularly. And if we want to piggyback on that, that could be cool. It would be less useful to jump on the first one because the first one people typically do workshoppers. But if we were to turn it into an actual hackathon where, like we set aside a chunk of time and people dive down to docs and do stuff, that one would be a good one to do that. But unless it's a full out, we're turning this into an entirely different event, then the best one to use is the intro to open source one, because in that one, we can get people on board with processes and teach them or share how we do our PRs into our how do you say it? Our repo. And not everyone has to actually contribute something. It's kind of like the really low expectations as to what we can do. It's mainly about sharing good practices and experience there. So
Very cool.
Yeah, what was the original intent for this?
I think original intent was to reading quickly. Yeah, original intent was just to drive content contributions. This is before the giant document dump from Flavio. So I especially since, like, my gut reaction is since we have a large, like, we could go live with just Flavio's content and have a pretty solid website because he's amazing. So it might be best to focus our efforts on execution in the next couple months and maybe get more quote unquote expert contributions for advanced content from very targeted specific people, and then open up the floodgates once we have the full like end-to-end documentation pipeline working and we know exactly how it's going to look and work. I don't think we should be discouraging contributions ever. So like if we still want to if we still want to onboard people or make available that type of onboarding to Node School folk, like, let's do it. But I don't know if like a concerted initiative to spread that to more meetups is, because I think that was the point here, was get some type of script that we can hand to folks who run meetups and say, hey, we need content, give it to us. Right?
Yeah, totally. So I'm thinking that, like, so yeah, if we don't want to expend a lot of bandwidth on this particular thing, what I'll just do is I'll keep this on the side for if on the weekends during the intro to open source sessions, whether people want something that they can follow, like a guide, because then we can give Flavio's now landed PR and say, hey, there's this section on the V8 engine. I think there is actually a section on the V8 engine. if you read through that and you could follow along, or you have any contributions, or if it's a step-by-step thing, you can try and execute it yourself. And if you want to PR something back into this thing that's already landed, that would be really cool. How does that sound to people here?
That sounds perfect. We also have the README in the documentation folder for like process to RFC or add an RFC for a documentation page, which like that is basically the script we'd go through for like, here's how to contribute docs. So
rad. With the process, if they're actually doing a PR to something that's already been submitted in the documentation directory, do they need to go through the RFC process, or can they make a PR directly into like that particular file?
I believe they can make a PR directly into that particular file. There's a section head there when you need to follow this process. You need to follow this process if you intend to make a substantial addition or change to the proposed Node.js getting started guides in the repo. What constitutes substantial change evolves based on community norms. Some changes do not require an RFC. So yeah, if it's like copy changes or small content changes, I think they can just modify the file directly. I don't want to make people jump through hoops.
That was cool.
Cool. Yeah, awesome. Where'd the ticket go? Here's the ticket. Cool. So I'm gonna say we move on from 99. We did 66. User feedback, Node.js docs survey, issue number 61. This is an issue that Tyranny popped open. Just getting more general user feedback. Ooh, there's a lot of conversation on here. Getting more feedback on how people like the current documentation, what documentation people like around the internet, what features they'd like to see. Outside of the little circle that's been talking about it here, there's a proposed survey over here. I just linked to it in the chat. It's also linked in the issue. I would love to see this go out and just get all of ComCom to blast it out on Twitter, and maybe the Node.js folk, Node.js Twitter account as well. Talk to the foundation about that. I do think that the form needs a little help. There's a lot of free form answers in there, which will be a pain for us to go through. Yeah, would love to take another pass at getting this documentation feedback form. I think what's there is an awesome first draft, but it can be improved before actually sending it out. Thoughts, volunteers, take a stab at updating the survey?
Yeah, I think this is a good place for people to jump in and kind of, well, as it's labeled a good first issue, it's a good place for people to jump in with more limited context. Although I am happy to make myself available to I don't know, answer questions directly if you all want to DM me.
I think we just need somebody to do the copywriting work to get like V2 of this form going that we're feel comfortable shooting out.
Yeah, Raisin Bread seems to be pretty like keen on doing it. They're very responsive on iterating through this. Jan, Lido, would either of you be able to help Raisin Bread review the content or iterate through it to the point where we can get this survey out?
Yeah, sure, I can.
Cool.
Yeah, me too. No problem.
Thank you so much. Yeah, let's just get activity back on that. The issue just kind of went to the back burner, so let's get activity on that going again. I'd love to get the survey sent out, at least just for general feedback, by, let's just set an arbitrary date because deadlines are helpful. What day is it today? Let's try and get this able to be sent out by end of month would be nifty. Yeah, I think that should be plenty of time to tweak a survey.
Yeah, I the links to the issue.
Sorry, Manil, you're cutting out.
I pasted the link. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it definitely is getting pretty bad. I pasted the link to the issue in the chat. Yeah, we typically don't have a process where people assign themselves to issues usually do we add them. It's only very rarely when there's a very specific, we need very specific eyeballs on it that we have people assign themselves. Yeah.
Can I not? It's also a pain because we can't actually assign people, like literally assign people to issues unless they're in the org, which is
interesting.
another reason why we don't do that, unfortunately.
Cool.
Yeah, it would be really nice if GitHub would let us assign issues to folks who aren't actually in the org.
Yeah, that's true. It's a good way to keep track. Anyway, well, y'all have to issue, and yeah, whenever you have time or bandwidth.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'll ping you both with a reminder in the next day or so, just if there's no movement on it. Thank you both. Let's get to an issue that's not on the agenda, but should have been, and I added the label for next time. This is issue number 107, the one we've all been waiting for. Tech stack consideration. So Mohit wrote up a little proposal for tech stack consideration, branching off of what we talked about in the Collaborator Summit a bit. The big recommendation is Gatsby, because that's what everybody else is using. It's also a very solid foundation. I have some exciting news about this, actually. So we've got Strike saying like, hey, you want a dev? Want somebody full-time? Here, take one. So that's really cool. I really want them to just set the foundation because it's nice if one person gets that going. So we're in the next week, they're going to have a Gatsby project up and running, just like a hollow one that, you know, is up in a GitHub repo for us to play with.
Did you say that Gatsby.js developer joined?
So we're still, it's probably going to be Gatsby because that's kind of the framework that makes the most sense, but we're not taking anything for granted. He's going to, in the next week, he's going to take the week to like evaluate Gatsby as a long-term solution, which will probably end up being fine. And get like at least a proposal scaffolding for what the site could look like, just the general skeleton structure of it, and get that up in a GitHub repo where we can all start finally iterating on code, which I'm psyched for. I don't know about all y'all. So, and especially now that Flavio's PR has landed, like we can start looking at what data ingestion looks like and build process looks like. So that's really cool. Yeah, I really want him to PR it as a proposal and like here's what the site could look like. Like it's certainly not a mandate, but we'll actually have something to talk about and look at, I think, by next meeting, since this is kind of what he's tasked with this sprint to get this scaffolding underway, which is sweet.
That's awesome. It's nice to see someone who's going to be kind of have some of their time earmarked for this to rally the rest of us around contributing to the different parts. I'm wondering if this new person would have, we might need to, well, this might be too early, but when they do that, we're going to have to think about the permissions we'll need to provision this person so that they can work with our org.
Yeah, so yeah, we don't quite know where the repo is going to live yet. Like that's another big question. Like I would love for, I have a fork of the Node.js website redesign repo just on my personal GitHub. It would be nifty if we could work in a branch on that fork, and like once the website's ready to go, we just PR the whole damn thing into the Node.js GitHub repo. Like we work in a gutted branch of website redesign, or of the Node.js website repo. And when ready, we just PR the whole change in and pipe it into master, call it a day. One way we could go about it. Another way is make a whole new repo. It would mean working with build folk to get it hooked into CI properly and make sure it deploys properly down the line. And so that would be another option, is work elsewhere. People have thoughts on that?
I mean, I'm all for simplicity and being able to have everything in one repo. Then there's also the other thing to consider as like whether in the website redesign, it's a staging area and another repo is where the website actually lives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe we want to build the tooling people into that conversation when we choose.
Yeah, I think the build working group will have opinions on where it should live and how it should work, and also the existing website folks who I think are slim pickings nowadays, but we'll I'd be happy reaching out to them about where they think we should best be working. Here, the current website. Oh, come on, Node.js. What are you doing? Just looking to see what activity on the current website repo is. Oh, they don't even have a membership over here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, current website repo is over here. I was thinking about just working from I think working from a branch off of this thing would be probably the easiest. And hey, we might even just be able to set up another deployment branch that just is running in parallel. So we have old website branch, new website branch, and different CI pipelines. And yeah, I don't know. We can reach out to them and see what they'd recommend. The other thing is it's really easy.
Branch would be great. Sorry. Yeah. Separate branch I think would be best. So we can just then PR and if we could arrange that.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to just pull the org as a whole and see if anyone would be interested. Right now in our README, we have the stages of where we are, and we have people signed up all the way till site development. Like last person whose PR got in is Jan here. And right after that, we have user testing, deployment, and maintenance. And I feel that the people who are in deployment and maintenance, we need to hear from them to see, because they would be the ones that would be most involved with the website once it's handed off, and it would be good to know what they'd prefer, because they would be the ones having to deal with it.
Yeah, it's also, granted, even with all this talk, it's also real easy just to set another Git remote and push the whole history to wherever we need it to go. So for the sake of just getting rolling, we might want to just start work. I feel like these conversations will be ongoing for a while, and probably what we decide now will not be the final solution. So it would be best just to start work in a branch, and I'll point us to that location just to start iterating, and then we can keep the CI and deployment conversation ongoing for long-term work. But yeah, I'm hoping by next meeting, or maybe even sooner, if we watch the GitHub repo, that there'll be a scaffold Gatsby project set up for us to start hacking away. And unfortunately, that initial scaffolding takes you can't really parallelize that work. But once we have the repo set up, we can start actually divvying out tasks for some of the more interactive parts of the website and some of the larger tasks, which I'm psyched about.
Totally.
Yeah. So I have a whole lot of tickets to make in a GitHub project board so that we can actually track and parallelize some of this work. Yeah. Just in time for the holidays, for when we all actually disappear.
Adam?
Mm-hmm.
What about someone investigate about the development? How to connect the documentation, and what about the backend, not only the front end? Someone investigate this topic?
So I think the hope that came out of the Collaborators Summit up in Vancouver a while back was that the site stay as static as possible. So ideally, we have no backing database. We have no crazy calls to any backend. There will be work to stitch together the site. We want documentation to live alongside the assorted repos all over the Node.js org. So like documentation on core Node APIs should live in the Node core repo. Documentation, or the community pages documentation for that should probably live in the community repo. So whatever the site becomes, which is again one reason why we're picking Gatsby, should ideally, like npm dependencies directly to the Git coordinates for all these different locations around the Node org. Pull in Slurpin documentation from all over it, bundle it to a static site, and just ship it out. Even if so, a lot of the APIs we might want even. So for instance, Node.js version history. We can either bundle a built JSON file with a whole bunch of Node version information into the website, or we can hit up again another Git file, which is just a JSON export of all this stuff if we want more. If we don't want to, redeploy a website every time data changes. Kind of in parallel, actually, this is something we should all keep an eye on. There is, where did the issue get opened? I think Node admin. There's a push or a thought and this is actually something that we can dive on now. There we go. Issue number 267 in Node admin right here. So this came out of a conversation that Tierney and Matteo and I had at the last conference. There's data spread out all over the Node org, and it's really hard to know where it is, and nobody actually knows where it all lives. It would be really nice if there was just a metadata repository, which is kind of, especially for website redesign, considered source of truth for all these different locations. There's a whole bunch of info floating around. So regardless of how we actually start stitching together a website, or how we actually, like, what build system we use, or what front-end framework we use, if any, I do not care about those answers, but regardless of all that, we need to know where to get data to actually show on the site. So I'm rather excited about this project. And this is, I think, something that website redesign can certainly help drive, since we'll be the main consumers of it, in addition to some of the other tooling that Tierney's been hacking away on in his free time. So that's kind of the current vision for the site, is keep it as static as possible. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, it makes sense. About Gatsby and this stuff, it makes sense.
But yeah, I don't know what the state of this data repository ticket is. I think Tierney's probably going to take the lead on it, since the tool that he's working on, the Node good release lines and good first issue CLI tools, will also be consuming it. But I know he would probably love help with this, and especially architecting a solution. So like a good thing that somebody can dig their teeth into is actually writing a proposal, or like a proof of concepting how this thing would work. Because Matteo seems pretty, and I happen to agree with him. He seems to think that we shouldn't be mandating this as a place for working groups to stash their data, but rather this thing should ingest data kind of automatically from current data sources, and working groups can opt in to having this be source of truth if they so choose, in whatever format is needed. So there's going to be work needed to be done for data ingestion and like setting up that cron job to make sure it's up to date, and how that actually runs. But also, RFCs on what format should data be in, because I'm sure it's all in different formats all over the org, and where, and what's the standard we should set in this repo? How do people interface with it? Yada, yada, yada. Whole bunch to do there. Anywho, that's all I got. That is all of our agenda items, including the added one. Do people have more thoughts or opinions or hopes or dreams or things we should be chatting about?
No, just excited to get the Gatsby scaffolding going.
Man, y'all, I'm so excited for us to actually have code to work on. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
We've been in administrative land for a very long time, so it's going to be fun to see it actually start getting built. Yeah, so for next time, Noah is the developer's name who's helping out with the Gatsby stuff. So I'm gonna have him start coming to these meetings, starting next the next website redesign working group meeting, and hopefully by that time we'll have a repo to point people at if they're interested. So I'm psyched.
Awesome.
Awesome. Cool.
Okay. If that's the last one, it looks like we've wrapped up a little early and Adam can catch his flight.
Yeah, I'm not going to miss my flight, y'all. It's going to be great.
You have family up there.
Yep, I do. And they're all cooking up a storm without me. I'm hoping to get there in time for dinner. So awesome. Well, thank you all for chatting. I'll see you on GitHub and see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Yeah, thank you very much. Happy American
Bye-bye.
Thanksgiving.